the City. What is going on, St. Louis City fans, MLS enjoyers, anybody else who has tapped into this episode of Soul of the City? Welcome to Season 2, ladies and gentlemen. We are at the precipice of a brand spanking new MLS season for St. Louis City. We have had some big roster changes, outgoing transfers, ingoing transfers. We're a part of 3 different outside MLS competitions this year. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on. And we're going to break it all down for you here today. Ian?
Yeah, so as Riley kind of alluded to, today we want to talk about the arrivals and departures as well as some of the roster management that they're having to finagle in terms of the international slots. And then we want to analyze some of the preseason that we have seen thus far in terms of the squads that we've seen and then performances from some of the players. And then to round it all out, we'll kind of give a prediction on what our best 11 is going to be for this season, as well as predictions for our performance over the season and for the upcoming Houston Dynamo game in the CONCACAF Champions League.
Yep.
So to start it all out, I guess we can run through the departures. And this is a sad moment, I think, for all of us here at First Touch Media, saying goodbye to the one and only Nicholas Joachini.
Joa.
Yeah, we kind of touched on some of the departures, I think, maybe last episode. But, yeah, Joachini, I don't know if that was fully ironed out that he was leaving.
I don't think it was.
But, yeah, we sold him for $2 million base. Could rise up to $4 million, which, you know, for a player we got for free, that's great business.
Oh, absolutely.
And, you know, you love to see a U.S. international, one of our players that, you know, I mean, I wouldn't say he broke out under us necessarily, but he had a good year, and he's going abroad, and he's probably about to be in the Serie A in Italy next year. So,
well, Como is...
They're like second or third in the Serie B.
Yeah, and... Cesc Fabregas is was their manager and is now their assistant coach because of some regulatory issues with Serie
coaching
B.
license ran out or something.
Ouch.
So he had to go to being the assistant manager or something. But I would, as an Arsenal fan, I'd love to play under Cesc Fabregas. So it's cool for Gioa to get to do that. In terms of other outgoings, I think we've touched on John Nelson's gone. John Bell is gone.
Good riddance.
Max Schneider, who I don't think we saw any of in the USLC, is gone. Bartlett gone. Miggy, I believe that loan was finalized within the last
Recently.
week. Yeah, he's headed to the
Alabama
Legion.
USL. Yeah, and I saw some kind of back and forth online. People had mixed feelings about Miggy leaving. And, like, I kind of get it because he didn't really seem to be MLS caliber just yet. But City 2 also was maybe, I mean, I don't know. What's better, City 2 Next Pro or USL?
I feel like USL is honestly a great look for a soon-to-be 19-year-old. Like, he's going to be playing against grown men playing the game, as opposed to in Next Pro, it's going to be, you know, all youth talent anyways.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that he'll thrive in the USL. So I think it's a great move. I know people were upset that, St. Louis we've already done all this talk about our homegrown talent and how we want people to rise through the ranks. And I think this is an important step, is like going out and coming back
definitely.
with more experience.
Yeah, I think people need to get used to that idea of players that really aren't good enough and are not going to get the minutes they need to see under the first team at the MLS level, leaving and then coming back hopefully as more of a complete package.
Yeah.
So Isak Jensen going on loan to Viborg in the Superliga, as well as Selmer Pedro going out on loan to Zlin in the Fortuna Liga.
Still there, yep.
And then that's about it. I think we let a couple of other guys go, but not guys that we ever saw on the first team. And we can get to the arrivals.
Yes.
I don't know
Exciting
who you
stuff.
guys want to talk about first. In terms of preseason hype, we could talk about Chris Durkin.
Yeah.
He hit kind of a banger that went around on Twitter for a while.
Yep. Yeah. Corner that fell out to him, and he just stroked that thing. Cuzzo.
Stroke that thing, Cuzzo.
But yeah, he looks good. We've been seeing him kind of get starts in the preseason, I think.
Yeah.
But I would be extremely surprised if he's our starting CDM with the way that Blom kind of held everything together last year. I think he's still got the spot on lock unless we're playing kind of a different system. But moving to the areas of need, at the end of the season, I think all of us were like, dude, our wingbacks are not up to the task.
Yeah.
And they definitely can get better, but we have brought in ample reinforcements in Nicholas Dier on the left side and Thomas Totland on the right side. Nicholas Dier came from FC Midtjylland.
Lots
of
of
consonants in there.
Absolutely butchering that pronunciation, so, get mad at me on the internet. But he's coming from the Superliga, and that is actually some incredible recruitment. I have to give it to St. Louis City for picking him up because he's got Europa League minutes. Yeah, let's
Scandinavian masterclass.
Yeah, he's got a goal in the Europa League and 3 starts.
Yeah.
For an MLS quality player to be getting, even Europa League minutes is kind of insane. So bringing him in as well as Thomas Totland, who doesn't have as many impressive stats like
still Europa League time though.
Yeah,
which is big.
Yep.
Still Europa League
time.
time.
And he is an American as well, so he doesn't take up a roster spot.
I think Dier.
No, I think
it's
is it
Totland?
Totland? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also another great thing is they're both like 20. One's 22, one's 24.
Yep.
So very young, have lots of potential, room to develop. So I wouldn't be surprised if we hang on to him for a couple years and then sell him for a profit. I mean, it kind of seems like that's St. Louis City's go-to
modality. Yeah. And from preseason play, it does kind of seem like Totland's been getting majority of the it's kind of hard to say just because there's a good mix of preseason rosters that we threw out there. It does seem like Totland was playing more with kind of like the first team, which I think is exciting, and Dier has kind of been subbed on later into these preseason games.
Okay.
But super exciting nonetheless. Excited for some new wingbacks, definitely.
Yeah, Totland is the more experienced 24-year-old out of the two, so that kind of makes sense for him to already know his role and be able to mesh with the team a little quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys think Marcanic is going to continue starting at that left back slot then over Dier?
I feel like that spot is really up for grabs.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Marcanic was kind of brought in he's pretty. We only spent like $65,000 on him.
Yeah, the commercial with the Flex Seal, like the tape.
Yeah,
that was what that was. So just
patch
slap
a
it on
hole.
there.
Yeah,
Yep.
big time.
It's fixed.
But I mean, he really took that position. By
I think
the
he
neck,
impressed. Yeah,
yeah. So, I mean, I think I don't know. Dier would have to work to get that spot from him, but I don't know. It's up for grabs.
They're both pretty young, and
Yeah.
I would be surprised if such an investment as Dier, who his market value is 1.5 mil on Transfermarkt, and we only paid $500,000 for him. But considering we paid that much money for him, he's gonna get to play. You don't just sit guys that you pay for. So we'll see.
Yeah.
It'll come to fruition throughout the season.
Yeah, and just to touch on Durkin again, he if you consider, so we sent Jared Stroud and Lucas Bartlett alongside. I want to say it was $278,000. So I mean that's a pretty big incoming transfer. I don't know what Bartlett or Stroud's market value was, but it was still a sizable transfer, and I expect him. Maybe not to be such a Blom replacement, but more of maybe backup for Leuven. He's kind of a progressive passer, long ball merchant kind of guy. I don't expect him to be making too many tackles in the midfield, but taking up space and just trying to create some chances from deep in the midfield. So
I mean, I feel like I watched the LA Galaxy preseason game,
Mm-hmm.
and he was in the midfield with Vasilev,
Mm-hmm.
I believe. And I mean, he definitely has a very high work rate. And I think he would go, I think you could play him with Blom and or Leuven.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it kind of depends what Carnell is trying to do, but I feel like with him, we have a lot more options than we did last season. Cause I mean, Vasilev is he's not very defensive.
No.
Durkin, Blom, and Leuven can all play the 6 to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
I think
double pivot,
yeah,
combos.
I think they just wanted more depth in the midfield in general, and a guy that can kind of cover any of those roles, like Durkin might be. We just saw such a drop off in quality when Blom was out of the lineup for an extended period of time, and I think that they're trying to avoid that completely this season. So
well, and like if you think about the minutes Leuven had last season, he was playing a ton and did not get a lot of rest.
So was Blom too, and you could see that translate like immediately when he was tired. I mean, his defensive work rate was just. I mean, he was still working hard, but he just wasn't playing that well.
Yeah, and beating out Blum or Leuven is going to be a difficult task. So, I mean, I do expect him to be off the bench, if not kind of a rotational player for sure.
Another piece of depth that we added in the midfield through the draft, Jose Kojima, the Japanese midfielder from Wake Forest University?
North Carolina.
Yeah. I don't know. I've watched some of his highlights. I didn't get to see him play in any of the preseason, but he looks talented, like pretty quick transitions, like receiving and turning in the midfield, which I think is something we've seen a lot of issues with in our team.
Yeah.
It's like players that can't receive the ball and turn upfield to try and make another pass.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of exciting, but I don't think he'll be as integral to our midfield as people think he might be this year.
Yeah, and he hasn't fully been signed by the first team yet. And I saw something today that when I forget if it was Lutz or Carnell was asked about him, that they're excited, but they had no specifics as to whether or not he's going to make it to the first team roster or not. So it seems still fairly up in the air. I would say in preseason, watching him play, he looked impressive. He looked exciting. Yeah, and I think I don't know what's going to happen with him. I would be hopeful that considering both Leuven and Joachim Nielsen traveled overseas to go get their green cards. That frees up 2 international roster spots for St. Louis. We would be able to sign Kijima to the first team and have an extra international spot afterwards.
Okay.
So there is potential for him to make it to the first team. I would be excited to see him. Don't know how many minutes he would get, but nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, I do think he's looked really good in the preseason, in my opinion, but there is a lot of players ahead of him in the pecking order.
Big time.
There's obviously Leuven, there's Blom, there's Durkin, but then even like Vasilev, Ostrak, like it's kind of hard to see how he fits in because he's not like, Ostrak and Vasilev are definitely the 2 more attacking options, and I don't think he really competes with them in that aspect. I think he's more box to box.
Yeah.
Which Durkin and Leuven, we gave Leuven's our DP. Durkin, we gave up a lot for him.
Yeah.
So, let alone the international spot debate, which I mean, I guess we have room for him. It just seems hard for him to get a lot of minutes.
Yeah, and just one thing, I want to touch on Ostrak because I know in our last episode we were kind of talking about how he didn't perform, how we were kind of upset with how much we pay him versus how much he performs. And, we do think of him as more of an attacking player. In the preseason, however, I saw him dropping back deep far too often to receive passes. Like, I still am fearful for any playing time that he's going to get. It's just to see your number 7 playing as like a CDM to try to break you out of almost your own defensive third is just like, I don't know what you're doing, blood.
It's, I mean, the woes of Ostrak are going to continue, sadly, this year. Just because we do pay him a lot. Like, he's the 3rd highest paid player.
It's like 5th or 6th, I think.
I think 4th, but...
Really?
We've all got different numbers here.
Yeah.
He makes, like, a substantial amount of money to be not even really an off-the-bench option. Like, at times we saw him coming off the bench late in games when we needed a goal, and his running out of the midfield is valuable in those times, but we need to see more. So that's about all.
I'll still be hopeful. I'll still hold out my heart that he can perform. I just don't know when his chances are going to come if he can step up to the plate.
Yeah. And then I guess with that last international spot, I've kind of heard two theories. One is that we might recall Isak Jensen from loan, but the one that I feel like is most popular and probably most likely is to buy another striker replacement for Joe Keeney, and we would have that international spot to look, around the world.
Yeah. It'd be nice to see us kind of, after our first season, go out and spend the money like that and try to bring in, because, we've seen other transfers across the MLS. I think Muriel
Luis Muriel,
from Atalanta just joined Orlando. Yes, Orlando FC. And he's 32, so it's kind of still retirement league age stuff, but
a bit, yeah.
He could definitely
quality players.
He could tear up the league for sure.
Yeah, not to say this season is a foregone conclusion, but the way that the MLS is currently shaping up with Inter Miami getting all of the talent that they have, you're going to have to spend the money to compete at the highest level.
Didn't Miami, have they won a preseason game?
I don't know, but I doubt Messi's playing in the preseason. So they're probably... actually, no. He definitely played when they went to Saudi Arabia, because I watched, I think, the game where they played against Al Hilal.
Yes, they lost that game 4-3.
Yeah.
Al Nassr beat them 6-0.
Jesus.
Dallas beat them 1-0. And then Inter Miami did win against Hong Kong 11, 4-1.
Huh. Is that like the all-star team for the Chinese league? Or?
And Messi played in less than half of these games, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe if not half.
Well, and they brought in Suarez, right?
Yep.
So has he seen any minutes?
He's seen some.
I doubt it.
Go ahead.
Did you see that thing where apparently it takes him 3 days to get ready for a game?
Yeah. He's taking pain pills and
knee injections.
Dude, it's like the NFL players that are I go get my whole left side numbed up before the game because I'm just completely injured.
It's why are they making him a DP? Or I guess, is he a DP?
Who knows?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
show me the roster regulations.
Yeah,
show me the contracts.
Whatever
man.
regulatory issues they run into, the MLS is going to do away with them because they're just we'll take the publicity.
It especially sucks that they just went out there and kind of embarrassed the MLS, especially with all the debate between the Saudi League and MLS. To go out there, get cooked by Al Hilal. I mean, they are the two biggest teams in the Saudi League, but to not even have any kind of competition is just kind of sad.
The Al Hilal game 4-3. It was actually
that one was close. Yeah,
I didn't watch the Al Nassr game, but that's crazy.
I don't think Messi played in that one.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. It's Ronaldo versus Messi.
Ronaldo was also hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
Whatever.
Do you guys see Ronaldo rubbing the Al Hilal jersey on his nuts? just a little sidebar.
Yes, that was hilarious. You should look it up.
Yeah, you can look that up on the internet if you want to.
Just to touch back on St. Louis again.
Yeah.
What you were talking about to go out and spend money after a great season, I think would be big. And especially considering that we still have a third DP slot open that we're not capitalizing on.
Yeah.
I think to sign another striker to take Joaquini's place would be very helpful, because what we saw in preseason, we were seeing a lot of Adeniran and Klaus starting together and playing together, and that strike force did not really come up with a whole lot of production in the preseason.
Yeah,
which kind of gives me some fears for how we're going to line up this season. I anticipate we don't play both of them at the same time, just because of how it's looked in the preseason and because their profiles are kind of similar. Klaus definitely more technical, but I think both of them are big bodies who want to kind of make runs in behind. Klaus obviously has the technical ability to come short, but I think their builds are very similar, and Joaquini kind of filled a little niche role that we don't really have a replacement for right now.
Yeah, I think another thing too is if we don't sign another striker, I would hate to play both of them, because then we don't really have a striker that we can sub in at the end of the game for fresh legs, to change things up. That's really all we got if we're starting both of them. We don't have anyone to sub in, and if nothing's working, no one's going to change the game for the better if we already have both of them in.
We were seeing Nokvi Thorson kind of play striker in this preseason, second striker.
And he had a goal and an assist in the two games that we could watch.
Which is promising from him after we were a little critical of him showing up to St. Louis last season.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can get a good breakout year. I still anticipate him playing out wide more often, but if he can fill a second striker role, I think that would be big for him.
You know what my wet dream DP signing would be? Thomas Muller.
Okay.
That would be crazy. Just
we
like
would never get.
Yeah, I know. Well, he's like 30-something already, kind of wearing down his time at Bayern, and I feel like he would fit the culture here in St. Louis.
yeah.
He's gonna retire at Bayern
Yeah, I
and become
know.
a player coach. Guaranteed.
That's true.
Yeah. Maybe if Bayern lose the league this year,
Which they are. So
we can maybe
Swoop in.
dream. Yeah.
I guess in terms of preseason, what have you guys seen that is kind of promising? And then where Riley was already touching on the kind of striker issue that we're running into, where if we're playing both of them, we don't have the depth, as well as playing them together last year at times, and in the preseason we have seen a lack of production from Adeniran and Klaus. Do you think that our XI this year is going to have two strikers in it, or are we going to see Klaus starting and Adeniran being the kind of depth for him?
I mean, I think we did see a good amount of success playing 4-2-3-1 last year. Maybe Celio on the left. One player who didn't get any preseason time, who has just been out with a multitude of different issues, has been Rasmus Alm.
Yeah.
We still have yet to see him bounce back from. He's had I feel like 3 different knocks at this point.
I think he had a sports hernia, is what they changed it to after the season had ended. Because before, I guess during the end of the season, they said an abdominal issue.
Yeah, they were saying sickness or abdominal issue. Sure.
Yeah, so I don't really know what a hernia, how long that takes to heal from. But
Did you have one of them?
Nah, they cleared me.
Okay.
I think he actually had surgery in the off season.
Okay.
So I guess he's probably just recovering from that.
Yeah, hopefully he's not on the Reece James path.
Yeah.
That would
Continual
suck.
injuries.
Injury prone.
Yeah, I mean, I think from preseason otherwise, we kept a lot of our same high press mentality, winning the ball back in the midfield, which I think looked solid, giving teams trouble, trying to build up and out from the back. I think that looked really good. I just want to see the goals rain, man.
Yeah.
I think that a 4-2-3-1 is probably going to suit us the best. Unless we do sign another striker, then we could kind of afford to play 2 of them at once.
And I think something else that we might look at too, especially if we sign another striker, is a 3-5-2.
Yeah.
With our new fullback signings, playing a lot higher up, and then I assume we would just put another center back in for some defensive stability, but
Yeah, a little 3 center back, and then Blom would kind of just hang
sit
back
in right above him,
Mm-hmm.
and Leuven right there too. But yeah, I mean, I think both of our fullbacks are going to be pretty attacking minded. So yeah, I mean, and also if we're playing at full strength with Deer and Totland and Adeniran and Klaus, I mean, them whipping crosses into both of them, that could work. We haven't really been able to see that in preseason because I think Deer just got to camp, and I mean, how many games have they both played in the preseason?
Oh, maybe. I think Totland's played a couple, but I don't think it's...
Totland's played, I think, most of them,
Okay.
but
has he?
Deer has played 1 or 2 maybe, in substitute appearance type things.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know.
I think we were seeing in preseason some of that five in the back or 5 in the midfield kind of formation that Carnell was cooking with, and I know on Twitter people were excited about that.
Nice.
Yeah, the one thing that I think might be scary with that is the center back depth now that Bartlett has gone, John Bell has gone. I mean, it would be Nielsen, Parker, and Yarrow. Tyson Pierce, is that our...
Yeah, he's
Isn't
on
he like a
next 2, I think.
Isn't he like a center defensive mid? I know Michael Wenzel was playing.
Maybe that's who I'm thinking of.
Yeah, he had a few preseason minutes.
Yeah,
Tyson Pierce is listed as a defensive midfielder.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. like I think Wenzel was playing in the LA Galaxy game I was watching, and he seems like he's a big guy. He's pretty quick. It's kind of hard to say from one game, but I don't know. Let's give him a chance.
Yeah, why not?
Let's give him some minutes. I don't know.
Just let him rock.
The rest, I feel like the rest of our starting center backs are very comparable.
Wait, so who are they? They're Yarrow, Parker,
Nielsen,
and then we have Hebert too.
Hebert.
But
So,
that's about it.
Yeah, if we're playing three in the back, that's only
not
one
enough
backup
depth for that.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
But
so.
I do expect maybe to see that on occasion. I mean, last season we saw the formation change constantly, and I feel like it's probably going to be
I
something
think that
we'll
was
see again.
to suit our needs more often than not,
Mm-hmm.
because we didn't have depth in areas that we didn't know whether or not we needed it there.
Mhm.
Just saw a lot of injuries.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think this year coming in with a more defined style of play and not having to switch things up from game to game based off of depth issues, having the players that we need to step in when they have to step in due to injury is kind of important in terms of establishing our play style and being a more cohesive unit.
Agree.
So at the end of this year, we've got a lot of players out of contract, and I kind of wanted to get your guys' take for a little segment. You know how in the NFL they're like, oh yeah, it's my contract year.
Yeah.
I got to ball out this year.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of guys in their contract year, and I'm going to list them all off, and I want you guys to pick one and decide who's going to ball out. So we got Ben Lunt, kind of whatever.
That's difficult. Yeah.
Timmy Parker, Josh Yarrow, Anthony Marcanic, Jake Nerwinski, Akil Watts, Durkin, Blom, AZL Jackson, Vasilev, Celio, and Adeniran.
Some kind of big names, kind of some big names in there for us
Yeah,
too.
I know.
Like some players that I was hopeful for.
And I don't know if any of those have options in their contracts currently. It doesn't really say that.
Blom definitely does, because I remember looking that up. That his option is for 2025.
Okay, gotcha.
But
it's probably pretty common, I feel like, to have a 1-year option, right?
Yeah, I think they probably sign 3-year deals with a 1-year option or 2-year deal with a 1-year option.
And then both the club and the player have to agree to
to the
extending.
option. Yeah.
So I mean, that's cool.
Yeah,
I like that for a lot
Who's
of
gonna
our.
ball out though?
Okay, so first you said Tim Parker.
I don't think any of our defenders are gonna have
A crazy year.
amazing, crazy years that's
Yeah.
gonna really be any different than
Yeah, I
last
think Tim
Yeah.
Parker will have a year that is worse than last year
Definitely.
because he was just I don't know. He was very good last year. He was our
Hey,
best.
he was
all-star.
MLS. Yeah, MLS 11.
Yeah.
And I don't think we'll see that again.
I kind of agree, but maybe we'll be wrong. I don't know.
Not in a bad way. I
I'm
think he's still
hopeful,
going to be
though.
okay.
I'm hopeful that he can have the same season that he had last year.
He's the American Thiago Silva. I'm calling it now.
Oh, man. I don't know.
He's gonna get better with age.
Me gusta.
Like fine wine.
Josh Yarrow.
Yep. Josh Yarrow, mechanic.
I think Josh Yarrow is going to need to continue to show. I think he's been very much able to step in and show what he's got. I think he is one who probably is going to need to show a little more than last year, especially if he's going to be the start. I mean, it's difficult because Nielsen, is he going to start with Parker?
Yeah, he's
Is
gonna
Yarrow
start.
going to be relegated to the bench if we only have 4 in the back?
It seems like that's the most likely
I think
scenario.
that's good depth. If Yarrow is our first guy off the bench due
Mhm.
to
And
an
then
injury,
Hebert
I think
on the
that's
left.
fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's scary if we're playing 3 center backs.
Yep.
Blom obviously has an option. Durkin, I'm sure they're going to get him to sign some kind of new contract.
I think
because
so too.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have
Because I
sent
think
all that over. If we're
yeah,
not gonna
and
be
the
able to retain
contract
him.
that we bought traded for is like a U22 initiative contract. I'm pretty sure
Oh, okay.
that's still active. So even though isn't he? How old is
He's
he?
23.
He is 24.
24.
Oh.
Yeah. So since he was signed on a U22 contract, it's still, I'm pretty sure, occupies one of our U22 whatchamacallit slots. One of the
Interesting.
fucking MLS.
They got some
roster
interesting
shit.
rules in the MLS.
Too many rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a libertarian when it comes to the MLS. Less government, less regulations.
Get rid of the regulations.
Mm.
AZ? in his contract year.
Yeah, I'm nervous. He might be hard to retain.
I mean, he's worth $2 million as of right now.
Wasn't Leipzig looking at him last year?
Yeah, they were.
And Leverkusen.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe that's who I was thinking.
I think it was
Yeah.
Leverkusen, not Leipzig.
Dang, imagine he went to Leverkusen and won the what's it called? The Bundesliga.
Pounding his fist against the table.
That would be cracked.
Getting first rounded by Kansas City or winning the Bundesliga.
I like to think that Bayer Leverkusen's success is because they traveled to St. Louis in the preseason, and that's why they're winning the Bundesliga.
Nah, because they got rid of Callum Hudson-Odoi. That's why they're succeeding.
He was cooking us though.
Yeah.
Cooking.
He was absolutely flaming our defense. But
my thing is like I'm very scared that 3 of our like young, promising attacking midfielders have their contracts expiring this year. Like
AZ, Celio.
Vasilev, and who was Celio? One of them.
Celio's
Yeah.
one of them. Yeah. So
Man.
4.
And Deneron too. I mean, like,
Yeah.
we could make tidy profits off of any of them
Mm-hmm.
if their contracts weren't expiring at the end of the year and they have a good year. Like, if they have a good year and then, they're like, okay, I'm going to go to Europe now. Like,
We're not going to get anything.
they're not extending their contract option.
Yep.
We just have to let them leave for free.
Mm-hmm.
Which sucks.
Which would sting.
I mean,
big
I
time.
think everyone on this podcast has come on and said, like, we expect a lot out of Celio this year, considering the way he was playing near the end of the season and the need for...
And in the preseason,
Yeah.
he's been
Preseason.
cooking
Yeah.
as well.
Yep.
Seen a lot of clips of him cooking our own team in training.
Yeah.
So, hopeful for him and hopeful that he gets signed to some kind of an extension, because I think he led the led the league in successful dribbles per 90, right? With his stats.
Yep.
And that's not a player you want to let go. Somebody that picks the ball up and wants to beat a man it's a rare talent to be able to find, and if you can nurture
and
it,
to be successful at it.
yeah.
And especially at St. Louis City, because the thing that we struggled the most against last year was when teams gave us the ball and
blocked it up.
yeah, they were like, okay, come dribble through our defense.
Yeah.
And we couldn't do it.
Do anything difficult.
And it's like
Don't
crazy.
counterattack.
It's crazy because Celio didn't get that many minutes when I feel like he should be starting against that kind of team. Like when we know we're going up against Colorado Rapids, who play low block and long ball counterattack, like we need to have players who can penetrate a low block.
Yeah.
And I mean, him, AZ, Vasilev, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Not as much. I think
Vasilev's more rounded, I guess.
Yeah.
He's
I
not
think
just-
Jensen, who's out on loan but could get recalled, is another player like that. Although he looks a lot more raw than Celio. Like at times he's
But I mean, that's how
deer in
Celio.
headlights out there.
That's how Celio looked at the start of the season. To
Yeah,
me.
that's true.
Agree.
like
Yep.
he grew a lot and got a lot better, I think.
And he seemed like one of the only players in that game in Kansas City where we got knocked that was really like putting it all out on the field, like leaving it out there.
And he was like a late substitution as well.
Yeah.
So, like to see that. Last player is a Deneron. Can't lose him if he has another season like that.
I
Yeah.
think
Get him
he's
nailed down to a deal.
extremely underrated, man.
I think so. I think so too.
I feel like he's really close to Klaus.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're like almost interchangeable.
Yeah, I think people like consider Klaus like maybe a top striker in the league. I don't know if that's stretching it.
Yeah, I think it's stretching it.
But like, I think Deneron, like, he is just so fast, so strong. His shot is crazy with his left foot. Like, man, if we lose him for free, I'm gonna be very sad.
He's the St. Louis City Darwin Nunez, the athletic chaos merchant
Yes.
that we have to insert to kind of make shit happen. You know,
My Pookie Bear.
I guess to round out this episode, we've got the predictions for the season. Like, where do you guys think we're going to finish? As well as what predictions do you guys have for this Houston Dynamo game? I know I'm going to be there with my brother and my dad. And
Should we talk about our starting lineup desires?
yeah, we can go
I
through
guess
that
like
first.
what formation would you guys want to see? Like if you were Carnell, what would you do rolling out against the Houston Dynamo first game?
4-2-3-1. Start Nielsen and Parker in the back with
Totland
out on the
back.
right, and then I don't know.
Probably Marcanic.
Yeah, probably Marcanic on the left, and then get Blom and Durkin next to each other. Get Leuven into that kind of cam role. Celio on the left, depending on who's available, either Indiana Vassilev or Rasmus Alm out on the right, and then Klaus up top.
I like it.
I do like that lineup a lot.
And it gives a little bit of flexibility, like if Leuven isn't performing at the 10 like we want him to, you just sub out Dirk and move Leuven to the 8, and then AZ comes in at the 10.
Yep.
And it's a pretty easy change that probably gives more creativity. I like it, man. Ooh, I'm ready for this Dynamo game.
Could be good.
Dynamo are one team that I don't think have made too many changes from their team last year.
I really have no clue.
I'm pretty sure I try to follow as many MLS transfers as possible.
Yeah.
It is difficult when you have damn near 30 teams who are making moves and shit.
It is a lot. So let me see if they've made
They
any.
bought Sebastian Kowalczyk for $500,000 from Pogoń Szczecin.
Yep,
He's an attacking midfielder, age 24.
I mean, they lost Corey Baird
Yeah.
to Cincinnati for
Cincinnati
free.
made some crazy moves.
Yeah, Cincinnati did make some crazy moves.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Dynamo's biggest move was re-signing their USMNT right back. What is his name?
Thinking.
Once Ian finds it, it's gonna totally.
Let's see. I mean, they beat us last year at their house, right?
I think we played. No, we drew.
We drew them?
Yep.
Okay.
And it was a game that I felt like we should have won.
It's not Gaspar.
Griffin Dorsey. And that was like their biggest signing, was re-upping his contract.
Okay.
He's very much a get forward wing back kind of player.
Gotcha.
Hector Herrera continues to age. I feel good about going up against Dynamo. I know that they obviously made it pretty far into the MLS Cup playoffs. They won the U.S. Open Cup. I still feel pretty confident against them with the squad that we have. And I know that we're going to have some traveling support to make it down to Houston for the game. So
on the 27th.
I'm hopeful, man. I think we'll make it out of the first round.
I think we will too. Well, this is all group stages because we have us, Dynamo, and then I forget the third team in our group, but we played Dynamo twice, once on the 20th and then once on the 27th, and then the home opener is the 24th in between there.
Yeah, the MLS home opener.
Yeah.
The league home opener.
The CONCACAF Champions League is, like, I guess technically our home opener because we play on the 20th at home against them.
Yep.
I'm excited. I think we'll come out with the fire. Maybe get a 3-1 victory. That's what I'll roll with. I don't foresee us coming out with a dud the way that the last season ended. I think that there needs to be a fire lit under these players after getting first place and then just kind of tossing it in the playoffs.
Throwing it in the garbage. Yeah, I agree. Especially because we've retained so many of our players. Like, it's almost the same 11 as last year. So you know that these players are probably heartbroken after the way that they bowed out of the MLS Cup playoffs. So I'm hopeful they'll be hungry. And I feel like this is probably Lutz's thinking, is that I have a feeling that this is going to be we're not going to see any more signings. But the MLS transfer window is open for a considerably long amount of time.
Yeah, isn't it like April?
Yeah.
It's a long time.
So there's plenty more. Like, he probably wants to see out with what he has now, which, I do want to see a Gioacchini replacement, but he probably wants to see what we can do with what we have and make adjustments from there. There's still plenty of time to make more.
I think if you don't replace Joa, you can see Thoresen probably stepping into that role as the third striker.
And didn't AZ have some minutes playing striker, and like Rasmus Alm?
Yeah. So I'd foresee us playing less of a two-striker style.
I hope. I honestly think we look better with only one, and we have the extra player in the midfield.
Klaus is a good target, man. That's one target I'm very comfortable trying to find out.
Yep.
I actually like Adeniran more as a target man in terms of like balls whipped in. But for everything else, like any build-up, I think Klaus is generally
If
better.
we're like also pinned into our own half, like Klaus will drop back and help us get out.
Mm-hmm.
But also I feel like for long balls in behind, as
Adeniran
another
better,
way to
yeah.
get out is like Adeniran. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're hopeful for the Houston Dynamo game. Where do you guys think we finish this MLS season?
In the table. I don't think we'll win it this year.
No.
I think you got to have realistic expectations, and then hopefully we put a little bit more care and effort into the cup ties this year than
Big
we do,
time.
considering like 9 teams make the playoffs in each conference.
Mhm.
I'd like to see us in 4th this year.
Yeah. I think 4th is about where I was putting it as well. Get that first round home playoff fixture if the playoffs even stay the same this year, because we know Don Garber likes to mix shit up and do whatever he wants with the playoff format. I'm probably inclined to agree that we finish top 4 in the West this year. There have been some big moves. Colorado's kind of been through a bit of a rebuild over there.
LA Galaxy's made a lot of moves.
Galaxy have made some moves. They do have one of their center backs is quite old in Maya Yoshida. I don't know if the Galaxy are going to break out again this year.
The Japanese Thiago Silva.
Yeah, there you go.
Other Western Conference teams that have made some moves. FC Dallas have made some pretty sizable moves. I bet they may be a force to be reckoned with this year.
Did you guys see Jesus Ferreira move to Russia, got blocked by the MLS?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. You didn't see that?
No.
Where was he going to go? Spartak Moscow?
Yep.
Is that
Okay.
Yeah, and the MLS was like, no.
We don't deal with the Russians.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
They got political on the football.
And in both part, like Ferreira and the club both agreed
to
and
the deal.
Wasn't it like a $13-15 million
dollar big move?
Don't pay that much for the off-brand Jack Sparrow.
Pay for him in fucking MLS. Who cares what's going on in Russia? Let that motherfucker go.
Let him rot.
Let him go.
Pirate of the Caribbean.
That's a huge transfer for MLS.
I saw someone
huge.
say, yeah, he's just going to be the next Brittany Griner if he goes over there, though.
Jeez. Jesus.
You're going to hold him hostage.
Didn't
arms dealer.
That's what I was about to say. Didn't we trade like a giant war criminal for her?
Yeah, I heard there's a Netflix documentary on that guy that we traded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's not get too into the
true.
Russia, USA politics.
I think I was going to say something regrettable, so good call.
At the end of the day, we all think that we're probably going to be better this year than we were last year as a whole, but maybe not get first.
Yeah, we won't be as lucky, I think, but I think the squad that we have now is a bit better than last year. I think losing Gioacchini is kind of takes us down a bit, but overall, I think the squad has been brought in some new faces that are going to really help the team and improve what we got.
Yeah. I want us to take the CONCACAF Champions League very seriously because it is our Champions League.
Yeah.
Like, for anybody that watches any soccer outside of the MLS, the Champions League is the biggest thing besides the World Cup.
Yep.
So I hope that we play our best 11 and treat it as such because there are some big-time teams in that competition. I think they've already started, and like Club America lost to somebody the other day. So like there is some real competition out there, and if we can kind of make a statement in that competition, we can bring a lot of eyes to the MLS.
And it's beneficial to us that we're playing teams from the MLS right now. We're staying in the States. We don't have to travel very far. Mm-hmm. Houston first. If we can advance, then we play Columbus. So we're staying nearby for these fixtures. There's great opportunity. And the Club World Cup is going to be played in America. Imagine St. Louis playing against Real Madrid. Imagine St. Louis playing against
I actually
Manchester
don't want
City.
to imagine that.
No, yes you do, man. Yes you do. Imagine the
Not
visibility and the eyes that we would get on our club if we faced fucking Real
Vinny
Madrid.
Jr. versus Jake Nerwinski. Matchup of the century.
Now that is something I'm looking forward to. Yeah, I think to say that I just remember last season we were talking about the Arsenal 11 versus St. Louis City 11, and we said Bukayo Saka would cook John Nelson. He got so upset. Jake Nerwinski, if you... Vinny Jr., man, come on.
thank you all for tuning in to this episode
Come
of
on,
Soul
man.
of the City. Check us out on all the social media at First Touch 314. And you guys got anything else?
Nope.
Welcome to the new season.
Like, comment, subscribe. See ya.
Peace.
Thank you for watching this episode of Soul of the City, brought to you by First Touch Media and Anchor FM. Make sure to check us out on YouTube at First Touch Media, and all of our socials are at First Touch 314. Thank you for watching.